everything.
So the weather was pretty much perfect for the whole year, except for like beginning of the last summer, which we have like 40 degrees temperature, so like 120
so
Fahrenheit, I believe, something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was really hot. It actually like burned some of the leaves, and so it was just at the start of summer, so the grapes weren't big then, so we didn't lost too much, but some of the leaves started burning a little bit.
Yeah.
In a very short time it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like right before I got there, it had been crazy hot.
Yeah.
Like right before I got there, it was like 40 something. I was in Priorat either right before or right after I came to see you. I think right before. And Carlos Ortiz said it was 53 degrees in the vineyard one day.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, vineyards are not supposed to handle that.
No, that's like an oven.
Exactly. But also it's very important for that. Also, is the way of that you are really taking care of the vines. It's also like we don't take any leaf, and that the leaves also protects also when it's a lot of sun.
Yeah.
Some people take the leaves, and really also it can balance also the grapes sometimes.
Yeah. Did everyone get that? What Asis is saying is that in hot weather like that, it's important to not pull leaves because the leaves create shade and protect the vines from the heat and the sun.
Yeah.
So don't prune?
Well, so pruning is earlier, but this is
It's
after the fruit and the leaves have come onto the vine.
Exactly. Some people make a lot the winter pruning. That is, everybody makes that. And some people make like the spring pruning. That is when you have some leaves, some vegetation. You take this to prevent from diseases like fungus and everything.
Okay.
Or humidity.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's a balance. So it's
but
about
the thing
shade and airflow.
Exactly. But if you really, I don't know how to say, but if you really keep the wild plants and everything in the vineyard, you don't have so much vegetation, and then the humidity is not so high. Really, you don't have to take the leaves. Yeah, you can understand me a little bit.
Yeah.
So of course it will depend on the weather that you have there. I mean, there's always a lot of conditions that you have to take care of. But in our weather, we believe that's the best way to do it, of course.
Yeah, and also to understand, also it's really interesting to understand that you'll see, for example, we have conventional people working really close from our farm, and they really the everything is like becoming, it's very fast, everything. Okay, it's like they have like bigger vegetations and easier and like faster and everything, but finally it's not good for the vines. Our vines grow very slow and more like in a good way, and finally it prevents also from diseases. But it's really it's not from 1 year, it's really for all the years.
How old are your vines on average?
More or less for the Azimut, it's more or less between, minimum it's 10 years, but from 10 years to, I don't know, 30. But really, we have all our plantations are more or less from the 1980s, something like that, 1980s. But for example, for the Rosé Cava, we are using Garnacha and Monastrell, and the Garnacha Monastrell was from the Garnacha Monastrell was from, we planted Garnacha Monastrell and Negra, red Garnacha and red Monastrell, from 2008. It's really they only have like 12 years now.
Oh, okay.
Those are the youngest that we have in those lines.
But also it's also for the style of Azimut, that it's really fresh, crispy. It's like, it's without any looking for any complexity, but at the same time are really great wines. Okay, with this easygoing but really great. It's the two things together. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both so delicious.
Yeah.
Will you guys tell us a little bit just about the Penedès in general and where you are? Just sort of what the place is like, and give people some background who haven't had the pleasure of coming out there and visiting.
Yeah. And what do you want to know?
I don't know. Maybe you can tell them a little bit just about sort of like the viticultural history of the area and how your family ended up being, farmers and vignerons in Fontarabie.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really, it's really a long, I depends. We can catch at some point, but
Yeah.
really to
Say
understand,
as much as you want or as little as you want.
yeah, but to make it easy, it can be something like, Penedès, we are lucky that we live from vines. We live from the vines to make wine. At the same time, we make a lot of different wines. It's like, there are really inexpensive wines, conventional, everything is together in the Penedès, okay?
Yep.
Then really we are focusing in another kind of Penedès. It's like in another way, okay? But Penedès have really, I don't know how to say. For example, for Priorat, for a long period, they don't live from wine. It's impossible, okay? But really, in Penedès, we are, all the people is living from wine, okay? We have 30 hectares of vineyard and people live from that to work in the vineyard, okay? But at the same point, that's a problem because nowadays we have a lot of farmers that only make the farming, okay, and then sell to big cooperatives, big companies, and all this, and they lose the connection between the grapes and you, for example, for the customers and everything, okay. And then finally, what does happen? Really now, what's the big problem from Penedès? It's like we have really like 3 big wineries, like Codorniu, Freixenet, Torres, or Vallformosa, for example, or 4 wineries, okay? And you have like 10,000 of farmers, okay? The problem is that the wineries can pay really very, very, very small money for the kilo, and farmers don't fight for that. That means that we are really going to a precipice. I don't know, like how to say, like to go. I don't know. We are killing ourselves.
Yeah.
Cycle. And that plus coronavirus, it means that this year will be really, yeah, some point.
Something like that. So of course, our family, we've been living in our house for a long time now. The house itself is from the year 1000 more or less. So of course, a lot of history there as well. But my family has been living there since the 15th century, so 100 years. And all of those years we've been working the land for that farmhouse, and we actually got the property in the 1850s, I believe. So 150 years that we own the property, right? Before that, we just the farmers for some nobles that actually owns that same property, and we're working for them in a sense, right? So since 150 years ago, more or less, we own the property. The company, we founded it in 1985, so 35 years more or less that we've been doing this. And of course, in 2010, it was when my brother, I believe, more or less, actually took over. So since then, we've been improving a lot, I believe, in most of our wines. Of course, a lot of steps have been taken since that time in our wines as well. So of course, now it's the time to change once more with the whole situation that we are in right now. So of course, we'll try to make that happen as smoothly as possible, right?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. The winery. It looks really nice.
Yeah.
It's a really efficient winery. The use of space is really good.
It's me that make nice the winery finally. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool if you look at next time Asis talks, if you look, you can see there's the big stainless steel tanks, and then you can see these hatches in the floor, and so there's concrete tanks.
Yeah, you can see that all of these are concrete tanks.
Yeah.
This is, for example, when this is where I take the wine from here. Then here, I don't know, I can drink really as much wine as I want because it's really, here we have like 30,000 liters of wine. Then, I don't know. I will not finish this. This is the 13,000 liters that will be more or less like between 15, 17,000 bottles of Cava Rosé Azimut. It will be vintage 2019 that we will start selling something like 2021, between 21 and 22.
It's another cool thing that Asis does in this winery that I've never seen anybody else do, but whenever I tell everyone they think it's really cool, is during harvest when the fermentations are going, there's like CO2 blow-off valves on tanks so they don't explode, obviously. but he pipes the CO2 around from the active ferments to the ones that haven't started or have finished to keep the CO2 in the tank instead of like spraying it in there with like a tank all the time. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah. No,
I've never
because
seen anyone else do that. I tell winemakers that, and they're always like, "Wow, that's a really good idea." But no one's ever seen anyone else do it.
But it's like, I don't know how to say. It's also I think that it's one of the reasons that make Azimut finally, but it's the idea to make really the easiest thing to make great wines. It means that you have a great grape, then you have to do nothing to the wine, but really you have a lot of things that you can do like this. For example, for the concrete tanks we make, here it's really great for the wine. They can be here for like a long time, and really they can being more complexity with the red wine. It's very important that concrete tanks, because it gives more softness in the mouth, but you don't lose the fruity. Okay. And for example, what Mike explained to you is like the CO2. It's like a lot of people are talking about, as you know, one of the theories that explains that we are being older all the time. It's like for the oxidation. Okay. If the oxidation is like in the cells and then the oxidation makes it's one of the ways that we are older. Okay. Then one of the things that people do to the wine is add CO2. Yeah. To prevent from this oxidation. Okay, and that's good. People buy CO2. They have to pay like, I don't know, 3,000 euros, 300 euros for a bottle of CO2, and they put this CO2 to the wine. Okay? But what people don't realize, what the winemakers don't realize, that I am a CO2 producer. Because you are a CO2 producer. You have tons of CO2 here.
Yeah.
If you use for yourself, it's really great. And you don't have to pay nothing. The wine, it's not oxidation. It's like, it's perfect. But I don't know why people I don't know, don't use this. Asis has that. But that's the same thing that you can explain for the concrete tanks, that a lot of people like for example, to make the decantation at the beginning, a lot of people make that in the inox tanks. Yeah. And it doesn't make sense in any way. It's really much better the concrete because it's really a way to clean the wine perfectly. In the inox, you always have like, as you can realize, in the inox, you have, if the temperature is controlled, in the middle of the tank, you have the temperature controller. It means that it's cold, and outside it's warm. Yeah. Then the juice is moving all the time.
Yeah.
Then if you want to make that the juice has to be, I don't know, quiet for a long time.
Yeah, very still.
You have to put that in the concrete.
Yeah.
Because in the still, it will never occur, and that's why people finally put a bentonite, gelatin, I don't know, a lot of things.
Yeah, they find it because they can't get it to settle enough.
Yeah, but it's as easy as putting concrete tanks.
Yeah.
That's all. But people study a lot, go to the university, make a lot of courses, but really they don't realize that it's really as easy as that. Yeah, it's life.
Yeah. Does everyone understand what Asis is saying about temperature control in stainless steel and how that creates convection currents? And if you use these larger CO2 concrete vessels, the temperature will stay more stable and you won't have all this convection of the wine, so it can actually settle really cleanly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe this is a question about, and it reflects my ignorance of the yeast, but is all of the yeast in the vineyard and on the grape skins the same? Is there any risk if you do the CO2 recycling that some of the yeast carries over from one to the other, or is it all just the same, so it doesn't matter?
Yeah, so you can make this question. It's one of the things that people imagine or people see explains, but really the CO2 have not. It's like the CO2 have not the possibility to bring this yeast from a vessel to another place. Okay. The only thing that it can be, it's a little bit of spores. It's like the spores. I don't know the spores. Yeah. But the thing is that you have your own yeasts there that are really, I don't know, it's like faster than the spores. And I know it's not any, for example, we do that and we don't, the fermentation, it can take still 1 or 2 days after to start the fermentation. And we make also some trials and we saw because that's one of the things that I'm really very happy. It's like nowadays we can say that each vineyard makes the fermentation from his own yeasts. Okay, we make the also because it means that we have to be very clean everywhere. But for me it's very important because also we make I don't know, analytics like PCR, like now for the coronavirus, and we can say that each time ferments in different yeasts really, and that doesn't affect really the. If we add the CO2 from another vessel,
Okay.
it's not a problem. It's not we don't add yeast to make the fermentation. Yeah.
No, I understand. I do home brewing of beer, and
Okay.
I know, like, yeah, you can get some spores in a new batch of beer, but
Exactly.
the yeast that you use outperforms it, so you don't have to really worry about anything for most beers. So I understand that. Thanks.
Exactly. The idea is
Wine is
like
also
you
a
have.
little easier because it's so much more acidic. There's less stuff that wants to grow in it.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't understand you.
Oh, I said wine is also easier than beer for that because
Yeah, sure.
it's so much lower that there's less stuff that wants to survive in it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
wine's
more
very,
like
wine's very friendly for fermentation.
Yeah,
very-
it's
very
more
friendly.
selective. Exactly. Yeah.
No, to make a kettle soured beer, the recommendation is to drop the pH of the mash, so that only the bugs like lactobacillus perform and not any of the nasty stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
But yeah, beer's got a lot of manipulation in it, so.
Yeah, it's another world. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I will go to taste the Negra 2018.
Oh, cool.
Now you have in New York you have 2016.
And we have 15 right here.
15. Now it's arriving 16 with the new label.
Yeah.
But really 16 will be over in 2 months, and we will and 17 is in the bottle.
Yeah.
That means that 17 we will start with 17 in like 6-7 months. Okay.
Yeah.
But now you will taste 16 and 17. And then, but now I have in the concrete time, I still have 2018. And only to be really closer to you, I will bring a little bit of stuff of this.
Hi, I have a question. I was just wondering, since you're not working like full time, like 90% and everything. My name is Melissa, by the way. I'm also a journalist. I'm just doing this for fun as well with my partner. I was just curious, is the business like more one considered the pandemic right now, and how are you dealing with that, demand or less demand?
Hi, Melissa. Then to explain a little bit with the virus what happened here. It's like at the beginning, during 2 weeks, really we lose all the orders that we have, and we also all the people is like closed down and everything. And really we are scared a little bit because we don't know if finally people, the workers, can come to work with us in the farms, in the farmhouse, because it's like really the vineyards are growing, and we need people to work in the vineyards. Okay, then if people cannot come, we have to do ourselves, and it's like it's pretty impossible. Okay, but finally the government say that we are really like really its primary sector is one of the best, it's one of the most important, and we can continue with our work. Okay, then after this small period, we start working in the vineyard at 100%, and we in the winery we work a little bit less, but really thanks to different countries, and also thanks to our work with a little small cooperatives here in Catalonia, and all of this, finally, really in after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we start to work really quite better, and now we are working like 90% or 100%. Because really, for example, next week we are bottling all the wines, the Blanc, Azimut, the the Standard Rack, Donzella, and all the natural wines like Mataró, Bancals, and everything. We will bottle next week, okay? And really, for the orders, now we are like really going to 100%. Really, thanks to countries like United States that some people is buying also, but also like Taiwan. We are selling to Korea. We start to sell to South Korea. That's a new partner. We start to, I don't know, it's moving. in different places of the world, they are starting to buy wine. But really, one of the problems that we have is that also we are very focused in people to come here in our state. Okay, then now it's impossible that people to come here as a tourists. Okay, then I don't know. Really, it's like we go down, but now in this moment we are going up another time. But I don't know if really we will make. It will be hard to sell everything, but I don't know. We will work hard to make it also. Thanks to people like you, finally also. Drink our wine. Finally.
Good luck. I hope it goes well with everything.
Sure. We hope to, yeah. But also, it's like you will see that really also people from the United States likes a lot the new labels for us.
Yeah.
They love.
You will see that they are really very nice.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but if you know, Mike, but this is the design from the Azimut labels. We start with this design. Hi. with it's from a guy from a girl from really from Sweden, yeah, and he's a people from Sweden who talks about we want to import Azimut, but we will like to make a new label, and I say okay, we can start and we can do it, and then they start with the current label, and after 3 months they present to me this new label, and really we like a lot, and finally we make all the Azimut with the same label. Like it's really more fresh, more natural, more I don't know. You will see. And also we don't use put the capsule to avoid.
Will you show the new label, Asis?
Problems for the wolf. Yeah.
Will you show them the new label?
I can show you.
The old label still.
So of course, the things that of course we lost some work at the beginning because the government pretty much closed the whole thing down, and then in like a couple of weeks we got to reopen pretty much. Of course, with the exception of tourism, which is still closed right now, will take at least 2 more weeks until we can reopen it. So three months more or less of stagnation with tourism, and even then, after those 3 months, probably it won't only be from within the province, right? So like small population that usually don't go to this kind of commerces either, right? So we'll see how it goes. But for the selling parts of the wine and cava, we are okay, doing okay at least, thanks to export, of course, and some work in Catalonia as well. But of course, the work in Catalonia is much more difficult, much more slow than in export in general.
Yeah, I was curious what reopening would look like to Spain for tourists.
Yeah, we don't know yet. I mean, even for us, it's like a pretty big ask, right? So of course, we still ourselves are figuring out which are the different things that we'll have to ask from people in order to come here, right? Do they have to wear a mask? Do they have to wear gloves? How do they taste? How, you know, all those different things that will be important in order to reopen business in that sense still. Because we also have a restaurant, we also have a rural lodging, right? So of course, all those things take its own preparation in a sense, right? Yeah. So it's not easy in that sense. So Asis as a
label. This is the new label for the red.
A little bit closer.
It's without capsule, and also it's really very natural, no lines, and how to say. It will really very soon in New York.
And for the cava?
And for the rosé and for the cava, it will be like this.
Oh.
Also without capsule, and only like this. Also, it's the same idea, and yeah.
No foil,
but it's foil, yeah.
Very sexy. Yeah, it's good. It's a good label.
Yeah.
You know if anyone else in Rhode Island has this?
Some people do.
Eno has the regular cava.
The white, yeah.
Campus has had both rosé and regular cava in the past. No other restaurants. It's mostly retailers.
Okay.
So far.
I'd like more.
Same, me too. I would too.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it's kind of silly how good they are for how cheap they are. It's like
yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Ray stocks them.
Where?
This really sweet little retail store called Reyes on the west side on Westminster.
Oh.
Okay.
My mom just sent me some pictures from when she visited, so I'm gonna show you guys some pictures. Can you guys see that?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Do you recognize that mountain? That's the same mountain we saw when Rock and Anna were showing us the pictures.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's Montserrat. It's like the big mountain in the middle of Penedès.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Where'd it go so badly?
That looks like here.
Except
It looks like Rehoboth.
for the olive tree.
It looks flatter than it
Yeah, but it could be an apple tree.
It could be an apple tree. Yeah.
Wow.
Vines.
Vines, perellada. Yeah.
Of course, the grass cover is in all of our vines as well, which is important to know and to realize, I believe.
Yeah, like we were talking about with Rock again, like in the Penedès, there's a lot of conventional farming, so a lot of the vineyards like look like they're on the moon or something insane, and it's usually a good sign when you see green things growing in the fields because it means they're not spraying tons of Roundup everywhere, which is usually a good thing. So yeah, you can see there's actually stuff growing. Here's the chapel.
Pretty small, but a nice one.
Tell us about the chapel, pal.
So the chapel is actually from, yeah, you can also see it from, well, this picture, oh, okay, no, never mind. So the chapel is actually rebuilt in 1624, right? So it's like 400 years more or less that it has been like it is right now. But of course, the altar that you see is actually pretty new, right? It's actually from after the Civil War in Spain, which was in 36, right, 1936. At that time, we had a wooden altar, which the Republicans burned pretty much. They wanted to burn anything that had to do with churches, right? So they burned it. So of course, they had to rebuild a new altar for that. But most of the furniture is still there. Most of the building is still holding from the 1624. Actually, it was rebuilt, right? So the original building is from the 14th century, when the nobles that we worked for started living there. Of course, they built their own chapel pretty much to pray on, and after that they had to reform it or rebuild it in a sense because most of it fell at some point. We don't know how, but it happened, so they had to rebuild it, and that happened in 1624, and since then it has been standing. So like 20 meters from our house pretty much. Yeah, that's like 50 feet. I don't know, something like that.
My mom wants me to mention the olive oil that they make at Suriol, which is incredibly
Yeah.
delicious olive oil, which some of you have had.
Best.
Yeah, it's so good. I don't know what to say about it. It's great olive oil. I don't know.
Why isn't it here?
That's true.
Why isn't it in the
Look,
boxes that we get every week?
I'll drink some right now, and I'll tell you guys
Yeah,
how.
Ken has some right there.
Oh,
I have some at Heather's house.
yeah, you're rationing it at my place. Oh,
You're changing the labels of the olive oil too?
Actually,
We are
yes.
changing the labels. Yeah. That's yeah.
But
I think
they're still
Yeah.
allowed, so it's like an exclusive or something. But we cannot show the picture yet.
No, I haven't seen those. Yeah, that's news to me.
I mean, like
wow.
fun olive oil labels. I feel like that's a very new thing.
The new frontier.
Does anyone
Yeah,
have a fun olive oil
that's a new
label?
frontier.
I've never seen a fun olive oil label.
I don't know. We'll be like, yeah, we will see.
Well, Montemolino has a fun olive oil label.
That's true.
So does La Maresca. I mean, it's the same.
Oh, that's
Picture
fair.
graphic.
It will actually be for both the olive oil and the grape juice, right? So we also sell grape juice that will have pretty much the same label with the.
Oh, the grape juice is really good too.
Want grape juice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Made with Malvasia, the Sitges, 100%.
Ooh,
I think we should start ordering olive oil and grape juice from you guys.
Well, I've been trying to get the olive oil imported to the U.S. for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty impossible. Yeah.
It's really frustrating.
Yeah.
I mean, you just like stick it in a box that says "Happy Birthday" on it, and they'll just let it through.
Well,
That's very dangerous. they really don't like when you put things on the pallets that are not wine, because sometimes
Yeah.
they can fill the containers and
Well,
check the containers and they can get held up in customs. It's like
and it's
very bad.
secondary.
I mean, it's funny because like some importers of wine don't give a fuck, and some importers are really difficult about it. Like Rosenthal, which is not like super like, you know, like wild. They're pretty straight laced.
But I think they're dealing. I think I don't know how they must be doing something. They're doing it. I think by the law. I think the issue is that they can't do it. It's like if you try to just like sneak it in and then your container gets pulled, like, which is what happens to Ed and Barbara fucking all the time, because they did it once with tomatoes that they were bringing in for their friend's restaurant from somewhere, and then like now their containers get pulled and inspected all the time.
Yeah, you throw that flag up, you're gonna get all of it.
So now like
I mean, also like bringing in like actual like tomatoes is pretty different than bringing in olive oil, because it's like actual like fresh fruit. That's like a big no from the like biosecurity standpoint.
They were canned, Mike.
What?
They were canned tomatoes.
Oh. There should be fine. What's the problem?
I feel like our radicchio through Baldor is from Italy.
You can import it. It's just you have to go through a bunch of rigmarole. Okay. Well, anyway, neither of the importers that get cereal and Azimut wines from will bring in olive oil for us, so we are without olive oil.
But I will work with this, and we will bring it. I don't know how, but we will.
It's only a matter of time.
Just put it in a box. I'll send you our address.
At some point, at some point we'll figure it out. When we have our own importing company in like 5 years, if
we'll be fine.
There's a wide.
Oh yeah.
Who knows?
Anarchy.
You seem in better
I want an
spirit.
entire case of this, like myself.
It's like
it's very easy to drink. It's the red is very easy to drink. All the wine, but the red is just.
I mean, this is like, yeah, I don't know. It's really.
And also, it's like in with the new vintages, the idea is to be more easy if we can really, and fresher and less alcohol.
Hi,
and
Melissa.
really this is the
Hi, Melissa.
Hi.
No. That's the idea of the red. It will be like every year. It's like 2017, 18, 19. It's really fresher, easier, less alcohol. This is the idea. To go in this direction. Really, a very nice wine, fresh for every day, but at the same time well made. Really well made.
How many degrees of alcohol are the new vintages?
Yeah, for example, in 2016 or 15, it's still like 13. But really for 2018 will be like 12.3, 10.4. And the idea is to arrive more like the idea of it's really have good grapes at 12, something like that will be the idea.
Great.
That will be the point. The goal will be 12.
You can drink more and not be as drunk.
As drunk.
Exactly. You will need extra wine to be drunk. Yeah.
Right. So we'll drink more wine. Perfect.
You were talking about the really warm year. How did that affect your I guess sugar and alcohol?
The idea is like if you have really a warm year, the problem that you have is like the worm, the head breaks, like it kills the acidity, the tartaric and acidity from the grapes, and moreover it makes that the sugar is very high, but the grape it's not really ripe. It means that you have a lot of alcohol, but really when you taste the wine it's really green and it's not really good. Yeah. And really that's one of the problems. If you really work in conventional, it's easy to arrive to this kind of products. But really working with our way of working with the organic, biodynamic, and really with the wild plants and everywhere, we never have this kind of problems also, because it's really the worm, the head, it's not so heavy for us because the vegetation protects, the wheat protects also for humidity. Every morning we have humidity, and also it's in our climate. We are really Penedès, as you may know. We have the coast, yeah. Then it's like the Mediterranean Sea. We have the coast that it's like 10 kilometers. After these 10 kilometers, we have small hills from 400 meters altitude. And after this, we have Pereves that goes from 400 meters and to 700 meters. Okay? And then the idea is that every day in the morning and in the afternoon, we have the breeze from the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, it means that we will never have a very heavy. For example, in Priorat, it's the opposite. They don't have this breeze, and if they have the head is really it's very hard. We have the breeze and the Mediterranean Sea that temperate makes that the temperature is not so low and not so high. Okay. Really, it's like I don't know, but it's this. For normally we don't have. It's like we don't have so much problems for that. But some point, for example, 2000, as we explained, 2018, 19 last year, it's warm, but it's only for like 1 week or 2 weeks. It's very short time that it's really warm, and finally, it doesn't affect a lot to the wine.
Yeah, and it was early in the summer too, so.
Yeah, exactly. It's at the beginning. Yeah. From when we
That would be like September, like late August. That would be a different history, different story.
Yeah, like different weather problems matter more at different times. Like in the spring, the really horrible stuff is like frost and hail.
Yeah.
In the early summer, if you can avoid that stuff, like if it's high, if it's cool, it's like the temperature stuff is more important in like late summer and early fall when you're getting ready to pick, because the fruit is like actually like quite ripe, so it changes a lot more.
What would you do if there was a heat wave in late summer? Would you and maybe if things weren't quite ripe, would you watch it every single day and pick at the right moment, or would you pick it early?
No. Really, when you make wine, finally, it's like, and you make natural wine, you can. It's like the most important thing that you can decide is the day of the harvest, because if we cannot put acid, if we cannot put sugar, if we can put the different things that people can add to the wine, then you have everything. It's like if you pick one day or the day after, the wine will be different. Okay. Then the most important thing is to choose this day very good. Then it's very difficult because it really can change from one day to the other, and it's very difficult. But at the same time, really we know we have also a lot of knowledge from different years, and normally we have like the window. It's more or less normally it's between 3-4 days that we can choose. It's between 3-4 days for each. I don't know, from each parcel, from each plant. And I don't know if we really, I don't know, it's depending on the wine. We can, for example, from the Negra, we have different grapes. Then if we pick a wine, a grape earlier, perhaps the other we can pick after, okay, and we can make a good balance for everything. When we make a wine from the single vineyard, it's the day it's impossible to change it. Yeah. And it's really the most important thing, finally, to choose in the correct way.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, more or less.
I thought that you had a fake background because it's so beautiful.
A Zoom background.
I know, when I first sat down, I was like, oh, who's that with that like amazing background? And so I had to text Mike and Ian, and they said it's just the winery. It's not. Pretty amazing.
It's winery. It's very well organized.
That's a great party trick, though. Just know that
he doesn't disappear into it.
You have a fake background.
You guys should go back and like take wine out of the tanks and stuff.
We can. I don't know. I can taste the. Really, I have the. Mira, this. Finish it.
It's like the background you can interact with.
Yeah, exactly. Background that gives you new wine.
I want that background.
Great, right?
This is the wine. This is the wine that we will bottle tomorrow morning. Tomorrow we will start to bottle this wine. This is the white wine. The blanc. It's blanc Azimut. Blanc.
Yep.
And really, The idea is like to make the Azimut wines. We make a soft paper filtering, and we add a little bit of sulfides, finishing the moment of bottling only. And the idea is that to make this wine, really, we are also decreasing the filtration, and really we will only make one filtration for this wine, and it will be a little bit dull. It will be not completely clean. As always, we Azimut it's always clean for now, but really we will start to, I don't know, we will start to ourselves. We believe that the wines will be better without this filtration.
Yeah.
And we have to start to also, I don't know, to teach you or to teach all the people that we can do that in this way. And the people have to be, your people, that. But also for the big group of people, for bigger groups, people have to be more open-minded to taste this kind of wines without being filtered. And that's the idea.
Well, we will buy more of it if it's not filtered, not less. So we're okay with you.
Yeah,
I know.
Be a problem if it's not filtered.
And moreover, it's really, this year it's incredible. As the other years, but this year is like, we have nose of Malvasia, the citrus, the body of Garnacha, and I don't know, it's really very complex and really great. Yeah.
Nice. I'm excited to try it.
Yeah.
Jenny, it's like we will load this Monday or Tuesday. We will load a container for Jenny.
Yeah.
From Negra 2016 and Blanc 2018. The last bottles of 2018.
Perfect.
And then in the new month, next month or in 2 months, we will start to sell 2019.
You just answered my question, Asis. Thank you.
Okay.
I was like, hey, Jenny's out. When are we getting more?
Okay.
Well, he was saying earlier that the next vintages of everything just landed in New York.
Yeah. Oh, they did.
But only it's like first. It's like they make the container like 1 month ago. The container is only with Cabernet Rosé and white and Blanc. Cabernet Rosé and Blanc.
Okay.
And with this new container, we'll bring Negra and Blanc.
Okay, but I saw the Cabernet Rosé just came in, and was that more 2015 or was it 2016 that just landed? I can look. Don't worry about it. I can find that out. Never mind.
For the Negra or for the Rosé? What are you talking
about? For the Negra.
For the Negra will be the ones that are just landed will be 2016.
16, cool.
Yeah, 15 is over. Yeah, and now it's 16. Yeah.
Cool.
15 is over.
It is.
You are.
It is almost over. Wow.
Over for 5 years now, almost 4 years.
Yeah, it's when we also explain Negra Azimut, and also I explain that it's a young wine. Always I talk like a wine, young wine, and people it's like young wine from 2016. It's like
but it's still
really the idea is
really fresh. It's so fresh.
But the idea is that it's like you have to if you have a red wine and you want to drink it really easy and soft without adding sugar or different things, it means you need the concrete tanks to preserve the wine there for minimum 1 year, and then the wine becomes softer thanks to the oxygen that goes into the wine, but you don't lose the fruity, and that's the idea. You have soft wines, but with the fruity from the beginning. Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah, I'm a lover of concrete tanks. I think they're great.
Yeah, it's really for us. It's like it's a tradition. Really, in all the farmhouses, you have this kind of concrete tanks, and people avoid to put that for the inox like 30 years ago because inox is more fashion. And really, we are lucky because our father always believed in the concrete tanks, and we have the winery full of concrete tanks. But really, it's like the same thing with the chestnut tree casks that people avoid and put the new fashion oak barrels, or it's the same like for the grapes, as you know. All the people 30 years ago start to plant it Cabernet Merlot because it's fashion, and they have his own grapes here like Garnacha, Carignana, but they don't believe it. And it's the same thing in everything. Really, we are trying to do the wines, the most traditional wines from Penedès.
Yeah.
the wines that can represent our way of life, our way of being.
That actually reminds me, it might be nice to, we're not drinking anything that comes out of this, but another cool thing that they do at Consorial is that they use chestnut barrels.
Yeah.
Which is a more traditional barrel in Penedès than oak because it grows there.
Happens.
So that's a pretty cool thing. And they have a local cooper that makes the barrels that's not too far away, and they get the wood from a little farther north in Catalonia, closer to the Pyrenees. But you guys have had some wine that's been aged in chestnut at Suriel, I think. I think I poured some of that stuff for some of you.
Yeah, we used to make the Standard. The Standard is with chestnut precast and also all the naturals. We make the aging in chestnut precast. And also it's big casks, okay, from 1,000 liters more or less. Yeah.
So what I mean, so I'm familiar with like oak aging.
Yeah.
What does chestnut? Does it provide similar kind of tannins as oak?
It's what important thing. The best important thing is that you can not smell the chestnut.
So
okay, you will smell the grape, not the chestnut.
Okay,
that's the most important thing. Okay, because if when you smell oak, you only smell.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that really you can smell some kind of chestnut. It means that it gives some dry flowers. It means that it gives some like I don't know, like wheat. I don't know, some flavors. But really, the most important thing is that it gives the oxygen, the aeration that permits the wine to become greater, and that's all.
Okay.
This is another a tank that gives more life to the wine. And that's all.
One of the funny things about chestnut casks in particular in the Penedès and in Catalonia is that the thing it smells most like is slightly oxidized Xarel-lo, like the grape. It actually smells a lot like the way the grape smells if you let it oxidize a little bit, which is really funny. Like when you, because in Italy they use chestnut pretty regularly too. And if you drink an Italian white wine aged in chestnut, it almost smells a little like Xarel-lo, which is funny because it's not. But yeah, there's a thing about it that the kind of like that like dried flower quality is almost a little like the way Xarel-lo gets when it gets oxidized a little bit. It's pretty wild.
And also it gives a little bit of tannins also in the mouth. The tannins. You have a little bit of tannins from the wood that you can also, it makes a longer tastings. I don't know how to say.
Yep. Yeah, the longer finish.
What's the oxygen permeability of chestnut versus oak? Is it similar?
Yeah, but the problem is that we will never finish this conversation. Very late. But because you had to come, but the idea is like, it's very interesting because it's like when we start with the chestnut, we start with the new conception of barrels. It means that French barrels, oak barrels, are from 200 liters, okay? Then we start to make the chestnut in 200. But we feel that it's a lot of oxygen into the wine. Then we try to, with 300. Then it's like we feel the same. We choose 500 liters. And we feel that it's really good, but finally we arrive to 1,000 liters, and it's the perfect combination. What's the problem? That when we saw the picture from all time, it's like here, what we have in our winery is 1,000 liters. Why? Because the idea is like the chestnut gives a lot of more oxygen than the oak. Okay, then we need big barrels to make the same concentration that we do in small barrels with oak. Okay, and that is also great because we affect less the wine. It's less sensation of the tannins and less sensation of chestnut. Because finally, that's the people from Saskatchewan really here in the north that they say that it's like I want to smell or the grape, not the basket. Or I think that Mike also said that sometimes. But it's I don't want to smell the basket. I want to smell the grape, not the basket of the grape, yeah, or the basket of the orange. Finally, I want to smell the orange, not the basket of the orange. And that is the same thing, yeah.
Oh, awesome! Thank you.
But the chestnut is that it's like it's the permission for the oxygen. It's higher than the, and that's why we have to use big barrels.
Okay.
Yeah, and you'll see that it's like a thing you see more in like the Mediterranean wine growing world than like the more continental wine growing world, because like you can't. There's no big oak forests in southern Italy or in Spain really, but you have chestnut, so that's what people made barrels out of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I learned.
Right. Is chestnut harder to work with than oak?
Harder to work?
Say?
Like
Yeah,
a cooper, like to make the barrel out of?
Yeah, as a cooper, is there like a reason other than availability that like oak is like the preference over chestnut in many places?
It's very easy to
use it in Bordeaux and Burgundy, and everyone just was aping Bordeaux and Burgundy.
The idea is like it depends of the like normally the people make the casks, the barrels from the wood that they have close to the place where they make that.
Yep.
They don't choose oak or a chestnut or whatever or cassia because they want that. Because they choose that because it's the thing that they have there.
Yeah.
Then in Burgundy or in Bordeaux they have that. They have oak forests, and here we have chestnut forests. Mm. Then people from here use chestnut, but the problem is that the same with the grapes. It's like 50 years ago, people think that it's better to use the French because it's really better. They make better wines and expensive wines, and they have to copy that. And that's one of the big problems from Spain, from Catalonia. Finally, it's that we don't feel that we are doing. We don't feel that we are doing a great job, and we have to copy the French wines. That for a country like US or Chile or South Africa, that you don't have any history of making wine, it's good. But for us, it's really awful because we lose all our identity.
Or even there's a producer in Chile, and a couple weeks ago he was saying the custom in Chile for fermenting and aging pais was in rauli. So in the pipa that they make from this native wood rauli, many people believe that like true pipeño can only be made in rauli barrels, but years, like for the last several decades, they've been ripping up all of the rauli and faster growing trees that they can then, because that's like one of the main industries that exists in Chile, is like forestry, and so that's been causing this big problem because now there are no more barrels made of rauli, and there's no more rauli wood to make more barrels, and so they're making barrels from other types of wood, but then it's not like true. It's not true pipeño. So there's like, it's definitely an interesting concept. I've been thinking a lot about cooperage. Like, should we all become coopers?
I'm trying to get my dad to become a cooper one day.
I've always wanted to be a cooper. Like we have the wood shop and everything.
Yeah, my dad should do it. Yeah. But I mean, even in Catalonia, it's like there's not a lot of people left who have like chestnut forests that they're harvesting wood from anymore. I mean, it's harder to find that stuff now too. Like a lot of that stuff has gone everywhere because it's like that industry is like it has to compete with other forestry industries in other places. Or like at Suriol, they use like cork from Catalonia. So the cork is actually local cork. But in Catalonia, to grow the bark thick enough on the tree takes like 10 or 11 years. And in Portugal, it takes 6 or 7. So obviously, if you're trying to be a cork producer in Catalonia, it's hard to be competitive with Portugal because the cork just grows faster. But then you have to ship cork from Portugal to Catalonia when you could just grow cork there. So it's like a different way of thinking about what's important with the question.
But yeah, that's really important actually. That I believe there's the last cork producer that we're working with in Catalonia. All the other
what he said to me.
Portugal.
What was that guy's name?
Yeah, right.
What was his name?
Aqui no nome.
From the cork supplier, it's like there are two. That's Jaume Llenes. That is but I don't know if you go to see Jaume Llenes or Costa Quera.
There's like the big cork factory we went to go see, and then also like the little tiny one in like the garage.
Yeah. So the garage thing was Llenes, right?
Jaume Llenes, exactly.
I've seen both of them.
Yeah, we saw both of them, and actually, so the Care is the one that actually is has also some factories in Portugal already, but doesn't have anything, right? He's only working with natural Catalan cork, and he has a really small shop that he's working with, and we're trying to support him as well by buying some of the. Are you seeing on the Suriol cork? This is the cork.
Yeah.
The stool. Do you have the stool?
Ah, sí.
So where he's sitting actually is a stool from Suriol, right? A big stool. So that stool with pianos, right? We actually wanted to support him, right? So we made some of those stools, 8 of them. And that was a big step as well to be able to help him in that way, and also have our new stools, which look really cool, of course, and they are great for visitors as well, right? So everyone loves them. Everyone is actually asking me, can I buy them, right? And I'm like, I'm sorry, we only have 8 of those. We can't sell them. That happened to me a lot as well.
Isn't there some pig that eats chestnuts for meat? Is it?
Yes.
Prosciutto or?
They eat acorns. Come on, they eat
acorns. It's not. Is it? It's not chestnut acorns though, right?
Maybe they are.
There's like a very specific. There's a very specific breed of like jamón ibérico that Michael Pollan talks about in Omnivore's Dilemma that eats chestnut acorns and like.
The jamón de bellota.
I'm not sure.
Am I muted? No.
Wait, no, you're not muted.
Nope.
We hear you.
I'm not sure.
Don't chestnuts just produce chestnuts?
Yeah.
They do. They're just called chestnuts.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They don't produce chestnut acorns. Acorns come from oaks.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
There's some specific jamón ibérico that only eats chestnuts then.
What about prosciutto de Parma? Is that chestnuts?
No idea.
Oh. I thought for sure there was like some pig that ate.
I mean, also it's one of those things where like it's a pig. It doesn't only eat nuts. Like that's preposterous. Like that pig eats lots of different shit.
Is it, Mike? Is it preposterous or is it exactly right?
It's a pig. Like if you let a pig walk around a forest, it's not only going to eat the nuts. It's going to eat tons of things. It's a pig. It eats everything.
No, these are magical pigs that only eat nuts and then taste amazing.
They eat all sorts of things.
Right?
These are very discerning pigs, Michael. They only eat, they only eat acorns.
This is my belief system.
They're not just going to eat any nuts.
I mean, just like all you got to do is like walk around the Penedès in like near harvest and see the like wild boars like devouring the grapes to be like, oh yeah, it's a pig. It eats everything.
The pigs will always eat everything.
There's tons of them near where Asis is staying. There's tons of wild boar in Fontrubie.
Can you say bye?
Oh, maybe you should put some of
You
those
want to
in
say
the
bye?
It's not so bad where he is, like kind of lower in the big municipality, but if you go up in the hills near there's tons of pigs.
Yeah, you can like, and right now that there's like less cars, still more animals are actually appearing, right? So
yeah,
some of them I haven't seen in like a long while. Like hedgehogs, for example, are even coming here. So
you saw a hedgehog? That's super cool.
Yeah. Those are great, but there are like plenty of them around here, but it's like really difficult for you to see them, right? Because
you don't see them very often.
They're always hiding. They're always like in some place that you cannot see them, right? So boars come to you pretty much. They go wherever. They don't.
Yeah, they're hard to avoid.
But that's not the thing with hedgehogs and other animals like foxes, right? Stuff like that.
What would you like?
But there are pigs that are deliberately fed chestnuts for the last few months before they're slaughtered
for
to
sure.
change the flavor of the pork.
Yeah. That happens in La Mancha, right? In other regions of Spain, of course, where they grow those type of pigs specifically. But of course, the most important thing for me for those pigs is still to like let them go free, let them walk, let them like eat pretty much everything, and then right before killing them, of course, they will then feed them with the acorns to be able to have this extra flavor or whatever. I'm not like an expert on that, but the important thing is to let them, walk as much as they can. Pretty much, the more they walk, the better the meat. If they are stuck in one place, it's impossible for them to have good taste.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring things off topic. I just think of Jamon Iberico a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
I think
I mean,
we all
it's like
do.
mixing
I don't think
wine,
that's
so cheers. I mean, cheers.
One of the best things,
the only
one of the
one, Aaron,
funniest
but
things
you're not
about
alone.
like, flying into out of Madrid is all the people from other parts of Europe with just like the Hamon legs, just like
Yeah,
getting back on the plane to fly back to like Denmark or Germany or England or wherever they're going. It's like people just have their luggage and like the big Hamon leg on top of their luggage.
Yeah, screw them because we can't do it.
I know, it's terrible.
I've known people from the US that have done that and then try to get on a plane back to the US, and it's like, no, you cannot take that meat on a plane.
You have to eat it all on the plane.
Which is crazy. It's just it's all cured meat. Like, what's the big deal?
Gracias. Bye, pal. Bye, Asis. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys should go to sleep. Thank you so much for hanging out.
No, thank you.
It's always a pleasure to see you, my friend. Hopefully I see you there soon.
Yeah,
Okay,
hopefully we'll be able to.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Thanks,
Thank you,
pal.
all the people to the Rhode Island. See you
Yeah.
soon.
We look forward to visiting when it's allowed.
Good night, Estes. Thank you.